Most agents that go in and write every single deal they possibly can end up failing.
And we're live. Welcome back. Believe it or not, he got his haircut. Corona making him go crazy. Ramiz Hakim back on the insurance panel, man. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Doing great. I'm liking the hair, man. You are really like working hard to keep every fiber tight as possible. I didn't have that kind of patience, so I just took it all off.
Yeah, my wife, there's no school, so we took all the Elmer's glue, and I'm just putting it all in there. I ran out of pomade a long time ago, so there's it's crazy over here, man.
Really good Pee Wee Herman vibe to it. I'm digging it.
Yeah, or Alfalfa from the Little Rascals. You'll see. I'll get one that pops up every once in a while. It's pretty crazy. Well, a lot's happened since we first recorded our initial video. We actually recorded that video pre-COVID-19.
Yeah.
And it was talking about telesales. And then we were like, Nick and I were like, we've had it ready. Like, and finally we got our great recorder Ryan on there. We're like, this is the time to drop it. And that video blew up. So obviously thanks to you, you did a great job, but there's a lot to talk about since that video, man. A ton to talk about.
Yeah. It was a number of weeks before, like, we didn't even know Corona was a thing. Like, it was before quarantine and everything. And so it was very timely for it to come out just that time. And of course, there's been many, many questions and lots has changed in the industry since that video.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to do telesales.
Yes, they are.
You're like the Noah on the ark that everybody thinks he's crazy. And, now everything's trying to figure out. Some people are learning how to swim, but how long can you tread water? It's better to build an ark before the flood.
That's right, man.
You know.
Good.
Yeah.
Whoever got that from? That man must be really smart.
He's a really smart dude. That's funny. I got it from him before we got on the video, guys. Just so you know, I just wanted to use it because I thought I was good. So we asked some questions on our previous video that I wanted to ask you, and then just ask a little bit more other questions for you. I think Ron asked, you run a TV commercial or Facebook ads, right? What do you do with the leads that come in after hours?
Yeah. So I try not to get as many after hours as possible, but some do trickle through. Sure. And we've done it a number of ways. We've hired an answering service. We've had agents work second shift. We've had them just go to voicemail. And
sure.
Currently right now, we've really got it down, really fine-tuned to where there's just nobody in the office. They leave a voicemail, we give them a call back the next morning. That's how that works.
Do you find that a lot of people pick up and are still, like, you found your closing ratio is much lower, or is it because if you just get them on the phone, it's still a live transfer at that point?
Well, the bigger issue, really, the reason why we don't have a second shift is because of the hours with our third-party verification company.
Got it.
So, there's people calling in at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. I wouldn't want to pitch them during that time. Also, there's times where you got to pull the bank in. You got to call the bank in and do some stuff. And so, telesales can be a bit more clunky calling into the evening if you're trying to write good business. And so we try to jam in as much as we can during our core hours, which are just basically from 8 to 6.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Speaking on Facebook leads, you mentioned, I think in the previous video or in one of the videos you've done online, you've done an awesome job on Facebook recently, man. I've been watching you and watch your hair go slowly away. It just went from everything to nothing real quick. But on Facebook leads, I mean, I know that there's an option to have Facebook leads possibly call you, right, by putting the number at the end. Do you have a 1-800 number set up, or is it a agent's direct line that's specific for that campaign?
Yeah, you can definitely have local area code presence. On the national ads that we're doing, I don't use those for that. It's just a toll-free number.
Sure.
I really encourage agents to do that because on Facebook, once you capture the information, there's a second layer that you can then allow them to call in. So you've already captured the lead. So go ahead and just get some free call-ins. That's just a no-brainer at that point.
Would you suggest just go to the phone number or go to a separate site that possibly funnels it into a phone call from there?
I can see both sides of that. If you take them outside of the Facebook ecosystem and put them onto a landing page, I believe the quality is much higher that way. For what I'm trying to do, I'm really more interested in capturing as much data as I possibly can, because I have pre-qualifiers that are going to generate transfers for me anyways. And so to me, it's a play of the masses as opposed to increasing the higher intent. In my opinion, the person that fills out my ad or that same person that's going to fill out a high intent ad, I'm still capturing that data anyways. And so I'm just looking for a play to, send out that net as wide as I can and pull in all that information as cheaply as I can as well.
Yeah, we did a video recently with Justin Thomas talk about retargeting Facebook data that you've collected or clients data that you collected. Have you ever utilized any lookalike audiences on your Facebook ads?
You have to. I mean, how else are you going? How else are you going to get the best bang for your buck? And so you need to be manipulating your ads based off of trends and responses, almost on a daily to hourly basis, because that's how you're going to continue in the longevity of marketing online. There's no other way to do it.
Yeah, I thought a good way to do it would be like run certain ads for a year's time and make sure you put, if they never answered their phone, mark them red. If they're yellow and they answered the phone, mark them yellow. If they're green, you made a sale. And then retarget the people that are yellow and green to people that pick up the phone and people that are buyers. You don't want the people that don't pick up phones. And Facebook knows what you're looking for if you put it in there. It's very, very smart.
It is.
It's super intelligent. So utilize it in there. I am big about lookalike audiences, and I think it's a great way to get a higher quality lead for the same, if not less, than what everybody else is paying. Because if you just run it with nothing on there, you no idea what you're going to get. It's going to be crazy.
Well, the best lookalike audience, and I'm giving away $1 million idea here, which is what the big players are doing, is
it's your clients.
Exactly. I mean, who cares who picked up the phone? Who cares, what objections they like? Just who bought from you, and then market to people that are similar to them.
Yep. Yeah, I gave that one out recently. I said, look, if you've got a company and we know your company, I mean, their underwriting like the back of your hand. So if those people qualified for that company, you can sell them for that company. So the majority of your leads, not all of them, the majority of your leads are going to be in that same demographic because Facebook knows.
Yes, no doubt.
Yep. So guys, that's the biggest secret that we just dropped in here. You better watch. That is a knowledge bomb that I've held on to it for a long time, but I've recently just given it out because why not give out the free content, right? People love it, man. I want to talk about I can't even say it, TCPA compliance.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people are, especially transitioning into telesales, are getting into CRMs. And then they find out the CRM has this handy dandy feature to text. And they're like, boy, oh boy. And they go through the first day and they send out 150 text messages that says, hey, Miss Jones, you filled out a form on Facebook. I'm your insurance agent. Give me a call. How much did they possibly just send out to a lawyer?
There are lawyers on that list waiting for you to text them. Okay. There are professional litigators that is their job. And you can just go to YouTube. There's TikTok videos as well.
Yep.
Of how to sue a telemarketer. Yep. And as much as you don't want to be classified that or not, even if you're a face-to-face agent, if you're making phone calls to set appointments, you are classified as a telemarketer. There are rules and regulations for everything based off of what kind of marketing you can use, whether it be text, some kind of automated dialing, or just calling them, what times you can call them, what days of the week you can call them, and how often you can call them, and when you have to stop calling them, and if they ask for specific information on the call to trip you up, how to answer those things.
Yep.
So before we dive too deep into this, I just want everyone to know I'm not a lawyer, and I'm going to give you as much information as I can, but you need to know each specific state's laws and regulations and follow them, because that's the only one that matters. My opinion or my perspective on it or what I've been told can or cannot be accurate. But I'll give you the best information I got.
Yeah, it's like we're not people that are going to give out stock advices because we have no clue. Like, we're not those guys. Like, we can only give you what we think are good ideas, and if you want to listen to it, great. But definitely the best source is go online, go to the FCC or the whatever that website is, and research before you start doing something dumb.
And the carriers, listen, every carrier, every responsible carrier has a legal department.
Mm-hmm.
So really you need to rely on them as a secondary buffer and say, okay, this is what I'm planning on doing. Can you please run this through legal and make sure that I'm okay? And they would love to do that for you. I mean, that's what their job is to do, because they're liable too, man. Like, if you get busted, you get the upline, the IMO, and the carrier are all going to be named in the suit. And it happens every year, all the time. A carrier gets dragged into something where the agent is the one that made the mistake.
Yeah, we did a video with Jeff Root, and he was talking about it, like the text. It's like you have to have an opt-out message at the end. If you don't want any more messages, type stop. And then as soon as that message responds like stop, your CRM should automatically put it on the do not call, rip it out of your system, and you're done with it. Because if you do that and one of those litigators come to you, it's not for that one text. They're going to ask for every text that you've sent out. And if you're doing it for 10 days and you send out 100 texts a day, I mean, you're talking, what is it? Is it $500 per text?
Gosh, it changes all the time per
yes,
call, per text. But they're not going to ask for every text. They're going to get a judgment against you and go directly to the source. So whoever you're texting, like, they're not going to ask you for it. They're going to go to your provider and
That's
get
right.
it. And there's no way around it. You will get stuck in that. They almost always end up in out of court arbitration where you settle. And if you don't pay that, it's going to go against your credit. It's going to show up when you're trying to get appointed with other carriers. You're going to have issues in the business. Take it from someone that's made the mistake. Just do it right. That's all I can tell you. I mean, just do it right. It's going to be more expensive to do it right, but it's going to end up costing you much less than cutting corners at the beginning. When we first started into this stuff, man, no one was speaking this language. We didn't know. I mean, I'm from the days where we would load you up, and I had 15, 20, 30 Vonage lines that was just dialing people for press one leads. I mean, that's how old school this stuff used to be. And even then, when it was semi-legal, there were still people that would hold you hostage and say, either pay me or I'm going to put you through the courts. So it was just cheaper to settle with those people than to even defend yourself. Yeah. So going to happen, you have got to do it right. And the industry is going to be totally changed because of this thing, because there's going to be stuff coming down where carriers are going to start contracting and being very, very, very much more in tune with compliance because of what's happening in telesales right now.
Yep. How many people do you think that are, transitioning into telesales now are going to go back to the field? And how many people do you think are going to stay because they're like, wait a second, this is awesome. Let's talk about how you're wearing a nice shirt, but you got sweatpants underneath. How nice is telesales, man? I'm doing it too. Let's talk about it. And that's what I'm talking about, bro. Yeah.
This is what telesales does. In all aspects of telesales, it compresses time. Okay. Meaning you get more sales because it compresses time. You can become successful much faster because it compresses time. You can fail out of the insurance business faster because it compresses time. See, right now, I would say most agents, most final expense agents, and the turnover rate proves this, but most final expense agents are failing slowly and don't even know it yet. Like they're going to run out of the business in the next 12 to 18 months. They were going to anyways, face to face. They just haven't caught on yet. Well, what telesales does is it takes that 18-month fail rate and compresses it in 3 months. That's what it does.
Got it.
So what's going to happen is that many people who are going to fail anyways are just going to slow down the process of failing by transitioning face-to-face. That's all that's going to happen. They were going to fail anyways. They've just found a vehicle to get them there faster.
That's interesting. Now, why do you say that? Like it's faster than face to face? Because I feel like in face to face, I mean, you're driving, you're doing a lot more. I mean, if you're making more sales in telesales, wouldn't you take it longer to
Well,
fail?
if you're successful, right? But really, I mean, the close rate is higher face to face.
Sure.
The cost per acquisition is typically lower face to face, but total volume is much less. So what happens is that most, especially in the final expense market, they limp along for many, many months with the hopes that one day they're going to gain traction. Now, the reason why they limp along could be a number of reasons, most of which is their own fault, by the way.
Sure.
Telesales doesn't allow for that. Like, it's very difficult to be a part-time telesales agent. So you have to be fully committed to the process, meaning you have to buy leads, you got to be on the phone, you got to work, you got to. And so all that time is compressed.
Got it.
So if you fail in your first week in telesales, if you fail in your first week, you end up having to call back what most people do, call back old leads or try to resurrect life from previous calls to try to make that happen, which makes it very difficult. It also, but that same thing is difficult face-to-face as well. It's just you don't feel it as quickly because you're driving between appointments. You're showing up at the doorstep with people who didn't answer their leads.
Sure.
You're doing a lot of low-level activities that compound to a high fail rate, where in telesales, all of that work that you've put in is just being done more efficiently and faster, and it catches up with you quicker.
Got it. And I know we kind of went away from the original question. Is what % of people do you think will stay on the phone, and obviously the other % is what other % is going to go back to the field?
Yeah. Most agents fail out of the insurance industry.
Yep.
So I'm going to say that most agents are going to transition out of telesales and then get into phones, out of telesales, get back into face-to-face sales, and then eventually fail anyways. That's my answer to that. So let's call it 66 to 75% are going to get out of telesales. The agents that are going to make it are going to stay in telesales. The ones that know how to make sales, that know how to connect with people, the good face-to-face agents, I believe most of those will stick to telesales. Now, there's some guys, Nick is on the insurance panel. He's transitioned to telesales, and I don't know, he seems to secretly like it. He's never going to admit it. He'll probably go back to face-to-face, and there are some that will do that. But the good salespeople that really can catch on, they'll stick to face-to-face.
Got it. That makes sense.
I mean,
and this is obviously a question you've probably answered 1,000 times, but someone asked it in the comments below, or at one of the other videos. He heard, believe it or not, Ramiz, that chargebacks are higher with telesales.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure you heard that from a face-to-face recruiter as well. And so it should be no different, except if you're doing things wrong on the telesales side. And so people have the misconception that on the telesales side, it's efficient. It's more efficient because the sales process is shorter and I don't have to drive. Well, in many ways, the sales process is longer and you don't have to drive. And so you got to work a little bit harder to build the connection, maintain the connection, let the customer be reminded of who you are on a consistent basis. You can get away without doing that face-to-face, but on the telesales side, as long as you're putting in the work, you can have much better quality of business than your counterparts on the face-to-face side. I know it, I see it, but it's based off of you building a good system that allows for you to have that. If you're going in with the face-to-face mentality and thinking it's the same for telesales, no doubt you're going to drown in chargebacks. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to happen. I guess the main thing is, and you kind of touched on it, the face-to-face guys, even myself sometimes say it's just harder to build rapport on the phone. But you're saying, it's not. You just have to remind that person constantly who you are in a professional way and what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right. And if you say, this is what we're going to be doing, Miss Jones. We're going to be making sure that your family's protected in the event of your death. I'm the person that's going to be able to do it. And then later on the call, So when we get this, Miss Jones, your family's going to be protected. You know?
Correct. Now, my challenge to that is, because I used to think the same way, it's much harder to build rapport over the phone than it is face-to-face. What I have found is that many people have a certain perspective on just about everybody. So when I'm walking up to the doorstep, man, I got a beard, I'm bald, and my name is Ramiz Hakim. Now, I'm not saying that that means one thing or another. What I am saying is that they're going to be creating perceptions of me very, very quickly based off of things I cannot control. Over the phone, I control their perception of me. So for me, and for many people, I would lump you into this too, Matt. When you're really good at over the phone sales, it becomes easier for me to build rapport because I can accelerate that wall coming down much, much quicker than if I'm there face to face. And just by simply using simple tools like Google, like if I'm calling into Birmingham, Alabama, man, I can look up certain things in Birmingham, the weather, or I can look up certain monuments and just talk about, and then all of a sudden that wall comes down much, much, much quicker. I have that advantage in telesales. We're face to face. I'm having to overcome some apprehension based off of just the way I look.
Yeah. Yeah. What if they don't have any picture of their grandkids that you can look at and talk about? Yeah. It's a tough thing, you know? Exactly. Man, I had a really good question and I just blanked. So you spitball while I think about something.
You know, just to piggyback on this chargeback thing, there are a number of things you need to understand. And I believe this stands true for face-to-face and for telesales. Number one, your carrier has to bill people correctly, and it needs to be Social Security billing. If you're writing deals that is not on Social Security billing calendar, you're going to drown in chargebacks, whether it's face-to-face or it's telesales.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure that people understand what Social Security billing is. I know what it is, right? But some people that watch the show don't know what Social Security billing is. And when people say, well, I have Social Security billing, but the company bills on the 3rd, well, if the 3rd falls on a Sunday, they're pulling it out on Monday. That's not Social Security billing. So explain to people what Social Security billing is for the people that may not know.
Yeah, you have got to draft people the day they receive their government benefits. And so if the 3rd falls on a Sunday, like you said, Matt, they're getting their deposit on the 1st.
That's right.
You have to take that withdrawal from them on the 1st. It makes a world of difference based on your quality. The other thing is the Wednesdays, the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Wednesday. That's not always on the 8th. It could be the 9th. It could be the 7th. Right. You got to draft on that specific Wednesday. So I would never sell for a carrier that could not correctly bill my customers.
Got it.
That's a big part of the business, a huge part of the business.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of the business for the face-to-face as well. I really enjoy using carriers. Then we both know I like AmHam as well. They do great at Social Security billing. Yeah. Hey, AmHam, they're awesome for Social Security billing. Seriously.
Can you name a carrier that's a guaranteed issue that has true Social Security billing?
Nope.
That's why I don't write guaranteed issue. That's a huge part of it. So all these people, because that's the biggest thing I get pushback for. Oh, Ramiz, you're selfish. You're only thinking about yourself. Oh, Ramiz, you must have deep pockets. You're throwing away all these leads. Oh, Ramiz, don't these people need your help as well? It's like, listen to me. If they can't bill my customer correctly, I ain't gonna partner with them. There's not even a carrier on the market that sells guaranteed issue that's going to bill my customers correctly. So therefore, if you currently have cancer, if you have amputations, if you're on dialysis, I ain't your person. I'm just not your guy. That saves so much heartache and distraction from the things that make me the most money. Most agents that go in and write every single deal they possibly can end up failing. Ask top producers. I haven't asked Nick, because Nick is a great producer, if he writes guaranteed issue. I don't know if he does or he doesn't. Do you know?
No, he doesn't really. Only if he has to. But I would say if I had to put a number, and Nick post down below and this goes from here, I would say that the amount of business that he writes guaranteed issue is below 7 or 6%.
There you go. And that means something, because when you write a deal, and think about the insanity of writing a guaranteed issue and on Direct Express without Social Security billing. Like, you're getting paid half of street on a product that's going to give you double the chargebacks, okay, because they're not going to draft the Social Security, and if the customer makes 11 payments and cancels or dies, you get 100% chargeback. So where you could have made street or above street on an average deal, you're getting paid a fraction of that, and it takes the same amount of time or even more time to service that customer. So to me, a smart business person knows I can't be everything to everybody. All right. When I grew up, McDonald's used to have pizza. Did you ever have a pizza around McDonald's when you were growing up, Matt?
Nope.
Okay. I grew up, there used to be pizza at McDonald's. And then finally, one day they just decided we ain't the pizza people. Like they're not everything to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so good businesses understand that. You as an agent are a business owner, and you can't be everything to everybody.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I know from watching you online that you have a one call close mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I've been doing interviews with a lot of people that have had success in telesales before pandemic, and people that are having success that are just recently getting into it. And not a lot of them, but a bunch of them are saying that the follow-up game has to be strong. But I know you're opposite. I know you're a one-call close. But here's my next question, and this might be completely off topic. I watched a telesales guy go through an entire presentation, and he had Miss Jones on the ropes. She was going to buy a $10,000 policy for $98 a month, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember this one specifically because I was watching. I was like, how does this telesales even work? This lady lived in Columbia, South Carolina, which is my home. And she said, I just can't do it. It's too expensive. I already have another policy. I was thinking about adding a little bit more. He said, well, what about $5,000? She goes, nope, have a good day. And he took that piece of paper with all that information of that client. He crumbled it up and shot it. And I was like, I caught it. And I was like, give me that. All right. Let's give that lead. And I went out around there, and guess what? I went in front of that lady and I said, hey, I'm the follow-up guy. I'm supposed to come talk to you. You know, I know you talked to this person yesterday and you were talking about it, but I'm supposed to, explain what's going on. Well, there was a replacement opportunity there that may have not been able to do over the phone. And it turned from a $98 premium to a $145 premium. Mm-hmm. Why are more telesales places not doing that? Sharing it with sharing it like that lead that you almost closed, because the closing percentage is higher face-to-face, right? But there's going to be opportunities that like you just can't get over the phone for whatever reason. Sure. Instead of throwing that lead away, why not give it to a trusted face-to-face guy and say, hey, here's a warm transfer lead. You can just go run it and go sell it, and then split the business.
Okay, so that deal that you made, was it face-to-face or over the phone after that agent couldn't sell it?
Face-to-face.
Okay, so for me, the only reason why I demand a one-call close, I'm assuming the agent is being trained correctly.
Got it.
So if I'm doing everything correctly, if I'm overcoming rebuttals correctly at the right time, there is no way this lady's going to have to think about it. I should have already taken care of all of her apprehension and anxieties and concerns. Okay. So if I couldn't close it right then and there, then a follow-up over the phone is going to be a waste of my time. There's that. I mean, let's be honest with you. Now, partnering with the face-to-face thing, I don't know. To me, you can have my leads for free. If I can't sell them, you probably can't sell them either. So you can just have them.
Bet. Send them all the ones in South Carolina. Go ahead. It's on record. We're recording. Everybody's going to get just kidding. But why do you say it's a waste of time? Because I'm seeing guys that have, like I said, have been doing it pre-pandemic who, Miss Jones is like, hey, this sounds good. Just follow with me tomorrow. I need to, it's not that I can only think about it. I'm ready. Just follow with me tomorrow at 3:00.
Okay. I think I know some of the people, and they're dear friends of mine. I'm just going to tell you, they're just not as good as me.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be demeaning or cocky or rude or unprofessional. I'm just telling you, what is there to think about? What can I do today that I cannot undo tomorrow? Like, why would she need, what is there to think about? Like, what did I do wrong in my presentation to cost someone who knows me, likes me, and trusts me, who has a need, who I share a connection with, who found a plan that's affordable, who has a bank account, who knows she wants to cover her family and preserve her legacy. What are we here to think about? Like, you tell me, like, what is a good reason to think about, Matt?
Well, I don't need to think about anything. I'm just going to the I'm going to the racquetball court and I'm walking out the door.
Great. Awesome. We're just about done here. Go ahead and grab your checkbook. Let me know when you're ready. The quicker you find this checkbook, the quicker I can get you off the phone. That's it.
That's it.
What are you to think about? Listen, insurance is an emotional exchange. We're not selling cars or toys or Tupperware. The customer is never going to see the benefit of this product.
Yep.
So it requires an emotional intensity to make that happen. When I call this lady back the next day, all those feelings are washed away. She doesn't remember all those feelings anymore. I gotta strike when the iron is hot. And if you're gonna let people off the book because, oh, I'm nice, or oh, I wasn't raised to be rude, or I don't want to be pushy, or oh, if you give them too much pressure, they're gonna charge back. Like, all that crap is fake. If you did your job correctly, now I have to assume that the telesales agent is being trained and doing a correct presentation. Assuming that, I'm so invested in this relationship right now. Like, I'm really looking at this customer as if it was my grandmother.
Right.
I don't want my grandmother to go a day without insurance. So we're taking care of this today. Now, if you hang up on me and I upset you because I'm giving you a little too much pressure, then you ain't my client. I'm sorry. I only work with people that care and love their family. And if racquetball is more important than taking care of your children, you're not my client anyways in the first place. I'm sorry I wasted my time. Have a good day. Don't hurt yourself on the court.
Don't hurt yourself on the court. Yeah, no, I understand what you mean about the that is because someone and face-to-face happened to me a lot, especially early on when I would be pushing for the sale. And one client said, "You're being way too pushy." And I said, no. Don't take my passion for your family's, like, financial future as being pushy. My job is to make sure you understand that if I leave here and something happens to you, I'm not going to sleep well at night. That's right. Don't take that as pushy. Take that as passion. That's right. And then that client bought the policy and they were so heated. And after we did the sale, after they gave me the check, you could just see the sigh of relief that it's done. It's done. And then that policy is still on the books today. And that's just, that's how it works. So I agree with you 100%.
I believe for every sale that you lose for being too intense, or for every chargeback you got because you quote unquote forced someone to make a purchase, for that, you gain double or triple, because people really want to do business with people that have that deep conviction and that passion to help people. I'm sorry, you don't help people by being a wet blanket and letting everyone get off the hook. You run out of business and there's multiple people that are now uninsured because you didn't do your job correctly. Like, you need to be passionate about what you do, and you need to be passionate about helping people. Sometimes people need your help and don't know it. Like, take that as a badge on yourself to say, like, this, I take care of my clients even when they don't know that they need my help. Like, who doesn't want an agent like that?
Yep. I agree. And I want to switch gears, and this will be the last thing we talk about before we wrap up here. I know we talked a little bit about offline, and you were like, bring that up, and then we completely forgot to. There's a couple types of lead. There's direct mail. That's probably not good for telesales. We can probably agree there. Who knows? We might be wrong. There is telemarketing leads, and there's Facebook leads, and then there's Google SEO optimization. But we'll put those in the realm of Facebook leads for the sake of the argument. We'll call them internet leads. Okay. But the main two for telesales, I think, are internet leads and telemarketing leads. And then there's two types of telemarketing leads. There is live transfers. And then there's a couple, there used to be avatars. Don't do those, guys. But then there's these offshore Filipino people in Jamaica making leads. Let's talk about that real quick.
Okay. How do you want to get sued? I mean, if that's a great way to do that. The question I usually get is how can I do it and not get sued? And right. And I joked one time, this is where it gets really funny, is I joked one time and said, at minimum, make sure they have some kind of insurance or surety bond or E&O to cover. And I promise you, the next day, every offshore company begin a new pitch of, we are the only offshore company that has E&O insurance. I don't even know if that's even a thing. I don't even know if that's even possible. So here if I owned my own offshore call center, which I don't, if I owned my own offshore call center and I controlled the entire marketing process from inception of gathering data to scrubbing to marketing to delivering leads, I might consider doing it. But if I don't own it and they want me to provide the data and I'll scrub it, I still do not trust them to do it correctly, because there's a number of things. You have what's called an abandoned rate on a dialer. Regulation states that less than 3% of your calls can be abandoned. Abandoned means we're using a power dialer that's calling out 3 or 4 lines per rep. And if I have 3 or 4 lines going out and 2 people answer and I get connected with one and I hang up on another, that call is considered abandoned. That is stored on the dialer.
Yep.
If it exceeds 3%, you are shut down.
Yep.
So it's more than just the data and the way you're doing it. You can't auto dial cell phones.
Yep.
But there's just so much to it. And so merely contracting an offshore group and saying, I'll provide the compliant data, that's like just the first step of the battle. Everything else is way more important. Stating your real name, talking about that the call may be recorded. If the client asks for your do not call procedures, you have to mail it out to them within so many days. Like, all that stuff means something, and trusting some guy overseas that rides an elephant to work every day is just not the guy I'm going to trust for my compliance. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I'll just say this for people that may be watching, and I know it happens to Nick, and he talks about it all the time. You're going to get direct messages. And if their first message is, we generate high quality Final Expense Facebook leads, and I work with people in your company, those are the worst. Those are the worst kinds of people. And I joke around with those guys because they say, we work with these people, and I've gotten them down, just so you know, and I never paid them, $2 a lead is what they were willing to generate leads at. They went from $10 a lead to $2 a lead that they were willing to do.
Yeah.
Those guys are the worst.
They're all the worst. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I just love them all. There's no good offshore marketing, period. End of story. Unless I owned it, unless I moved there, built it, hired people. Like, I can see that maybe. I'm trying to find a reason. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hire my people in my community, my neighbors. That's what I'm going to do. But they're all the same, man. They don't care about compliance. They just don't care. They just literally the same call centers that are running IRS scams, trying to steal people's information and say, I'm going to send a police officer to your home to arrest you. There's no different. Is the same people that are telemarketing for Final Expense. That's what they do. Period.
Yep.
Don't do business with them.
Not trustworthy guys.
And don't buy and listen. And I think it says something about a recruiter that tries to minimize that risk. It says something about that person's business principles.
Yeah.
And so if somebody is using offshore marketers and trying to justify it, and they don't own the brick and mortar. Now watch, the new pitch is going to be, well, we own the brick and mortar and they're on our payroll. That's the new pitch, which they don't. It says something about all of the decisions they made up to that point. Everything. Because that's such a big part of the business, is how you get your marketing. If you're trusting that, with Abdul overseas, who says his name is Mike, you got a problem.
Yeah. And I agree, because a lot of agents, especially when they get in, and we talked about this online, a lot of Final Expense agents, when they got to Final Expense, are dead broke.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you get that message and you're thinking, well, I've got $100, I can get 30 leads because they're going to cook them out for $325 per pop.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a great deal. Well, you're going to be more than broke when you get a violation. So be very, very, very careful, guys. Very careful.
But Matt, there's some companies that'll say, hey, I won't even charge you for the leads. We'll do what's called a rev share. When you sell, pay me back. Like that's what some of them do. That's how like desperate they are for business, and they'll do just about anything. I mean, they're paying their people literally pennies in horrible conditions. And like, we as Americans who have a certain standard should be very, very mindful of how we're taking advantage of people's situation. And we really should be considering during this time, how do we rally around each other and employ people in our communities? I mean, we're at like 15% unemployment right now. Why the hell are we even considering hiring people offshore? Pay the money. I'll say this point too. I know we're going a little over.
You're good.
I got blasted online for celebrating low oil prices. Okay. Everyone's talking about how it negatively impacts the economy when oil is low. And I'm like, well, I'm not complaining. I really do enjoy $1.40, but so many people lost their jobs, and I get all that. Well, then if that's the sentiment, then do not take jobs away from Americans and start employing people offshore, because that's what makes sense for your business. Like, we have to rally together as a community of insurance agents, but as an American community, and look for reasons to employ people. And insurance agents that hold a professional license have the power to hire people. And we should really consider in looking at ways to make that happen. Like, I'm extremely passionate about that, because right now, nobody should be struggling in the insurance business. It's not that hard to transition into telesales. So do it, build a business, hire people to do what you're trying to do overseas for $2 a lead. Maybe it costs you $15 a lead, but there's still room in there to make money and control the quality and do it compliantly. You just have to want to build a real business and not count on all these shortcuts thinking it's going to help you build that business. It doesn't. It always ends up costing you more.
I agree. Now I'm going to go make a large telesales center right here in South Carolina. I'm going to have 1,000 people on payroll. I'm excited about it, man.
It works, man.
Well, dude, it's been awesome again. Seriously. It's a ton of fun. We loved having you on here last time. We loved having you on here again, or I loved having you on here again. I wish Nick could have been here, but we decided when we're doing the follow-up videos with people that we would he would do one, I would do the other. So it's really fun, me and you talking. I really enjoy when we get to talk.
Yeah.
You're awesome. And I'm glad that you're a fan of the show as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Well, guys, if you found value in this, please just comment down below, like the video, subscribe. The statistics are there. I'm a statistics man. 63% of you are not subscribed. That's awful. Like, you got to watch. Like, I talked to a guy today, and I'm going to get on my pedestal here. He watched a video that watched another video that watched another video, and he got to our channel.
Yes.
He subscribed. The other 63% of you not subscribed. Please do. It helps so much.
Yeah.
It helps our algorithm so much when we're on top of the search board, because the value that we're trying to bring, the part of the insurance panel, and talking about what Ramiz was talking about banding together and helping people out, that's what we're trying to do. The point of the insurance panel is for us to get good content to people that might be struggling to see something different, and maybe they're not getting it from their IMO. They're not getting it, and we don't care. Take the free stuff. We want you to have it and utilize it and make more money for you and your family, especially during this pandemic. That's the point. So again, Ramiz, man, I appreciate you being on. Y'all have a good one, guys.
Thanks, man.